I'll be honest with you, like looking back, it was very overwhelming, right? Like, so it was very tough, but also, like I said, I had no choice, right? Like I had to learn,
Right.
I had to stay like late hours to kind of learn the systems on my own. I had to go back to resources. I went to, like the Rockwell courses. I had good relationships with the vendors, so I would ask them, quite frankly, a lot of those questions. So it wasn't a walk in the park by any stretch of the word. It was very stressful, right? Like going to vendors, like I had to.
Yeah.
The first one, like I said, it was with my boss. So we went to Italy, we went to Japan to look at the equipment before it was signed off to be shipped to the US. Obviously, the first time you do one of those VATs or FATs, it's very stressful, but you learn, right? And you see how
Yeah.
things are not as perfect as you would like them to be in
Yeah.
the real world, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think I guess, like drawing back to our conversation on engineering, I think the expectations that I had is that engineers are like perfect, everything goes well, you have the
Yeah.
specifications, they come out, the builder creates a machine based on the specifications, you receive the machine and it's running, right? The
Yeah. Yeah.
reality could not be further from that, right? You have to adjust things, you have to figure out like
Mhm.
how can we do things differently. So, anyways, all that to say, it was a challenging time, but I learned quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that learning experience that you got there, like, was probably one of those things that like advanced you along in your knowledge, like many more years than a lot of people would have the exposure to get that much experience that quickly.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm very thankful for that experience. I ended up moving from PNG after 3 years. I can certainly share the reasons, I guess, but at the time, how to say it, I think it wasn't the right decision, right? Like if I was
Mm.
to reflect on that, I think I should have had more conversations with my management teams, and that's one of the pieces of advices that I give to younger engineers in their careers. I think that for a number of reasons, you either think like, oh, things are not moving fast enough or things are moving too slow. You start to be either like bored at the job or, you want to seek
Or
out like
take-
different opportunities. And you don't have those conversations with your immediate managers. And at
Mhm.
some point, you just get so fed up with how things are done that you, like I said, end up pulling the plug. But I think I should have had those conversations. And now that I'm a bit more mature,
Yeah.
I kind of look back and think like, hey, like maybe I could have changed some things to make it more in my favor. So, um, for what it's worth, to younger engineers, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's definitely valuable. Like have that open discussion. Because I think a
Yep.
lot of people they'll just leave their position, right? Like, hey, can I get a raise? No, okay, peace. Yeah, like whereas like the conversation can just be much deeper. Okay, what is it going to take for me to get a raise? Oh, I can't get a
Mhm.
raise. What is it going to take? Right? Maybe there's something I can do. Maybe some skill I can add. Maybe you know, and like just have that open negotiation.
I was gonna like close that off by saying like it also it's not just the money. I think it's like engineers want to work on certain technologies. They want to like work on certain projects. And again, talking for myself at least, I wasn't good at communicating what I wanted to
Mhm.
do in my like career trajectory, but
Yep.
I could have done that better, and I could have gotten what I wanted, having stayed at that employer, right? But I kind of
Right.
like built that in my head and like, oh, like I'm not gonna have that opportunity, and
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna go somewhere else that has it, right?
Gotcha. So what was your next opportunity?
I moved to Kraft Heinz, so
Nice.
like one of the, I guess, other external reasons was that Maine is quite different from a large city, right? And having grown up in large cities, I couldn't find the same type of maybe environment that I was not thriving in, but I guess like looking forward to. Decided to move back to Los Angeles. I think at least for me, it was a better suited environment at the time. And so I joined Kraft Heinz in a maintenance manager role. So very different from engineering, but still, the way it was sold to me and what I was doing at the plant was still fairly technical, right? So um, obviously, different people in maintenance have different skill sets, but they wanted me for like that electrical expertise, which they didn't have at the time. But it was a different role because I was almost immediately put in charge of like 26 mechanics and technicians,
Mm,
and I needed to manage the pays, manage the schedules, and so that brought a whole other like host of I want to say like challenges that I was not
Oh yeah.
exposed to before. I had to deal with the union, which again that also brings its own challenges.
Mm,
So again, I learned things, but I want to say there I learned more on how to work with people rather than like I didn't grew technically as much as I did on like the human aspects in that
gotcha.
role.